Hi everyone, my name is Paola,
And I'm Maddy.
and together we are working on the Data Inclusion Project based out of Wofford College in Spartanburg, South Carolina. We are ensuring that important information is reaching residents, especially Latinx residents, so that we can foster participatory inclusion in the community. Now let us tell you a little about ourselves. I, Paola, am from Charlotte, North Carolina. I am a Honduran and Salvadoran American and am entering my sophomore year as a first-generation college student. I'm majoring in sociology, anthropology, and Spanish as part of Wofford's class of 2023.
And I am originally from a small town in Mississippi. I am currently a rising senior Spanish and government major here in Wofford's class of 2021. And just a fun fact about me, I am a triplet. And all right, I guess to get the ball rolling, one topic that we have seemed to focus a lot of our attention on this summer is education. Mainly working on understanding accessibility to education here in Spartanburg and focusing on how we can share what we've learned from our research and also maybe some of our experiences as current college students and recent college applicants with you all to highlight the value of receiving a post-secondary degree and to help make the college application and admissions process feel as understandable and accessible as possible.
In this podcast, we want to discuss some of the requirements for the college application and admissions process and also some resources that you can take advantage of to facilitate an easier transition from high school to college, should that be your next step. I know that from my own experience, applying to college as a first-generation Latinx student was daunting at first, but hopefully our chat today will help to ease your nerves and show you that this experience is worth it.
So, before we get into the nitty-gritty, we first want to start by discussing some post-secondary options with you all. Living in a knowledge-driven economy means that many careers today require the completion of some levels of higher education, and sometimes several levels, in order for a job applicant to be considered a competitive candidate and to make a competitive wage. The two most basic post-secondary degrees you can receive are an associate's degree, which is 2 years, and a bachelor's degree, which is 4.
Students will often seek to earn an associate's degree because these degrees offer the shortest course of study and generally cheaper tuition as well. An associate's degree can provide either the basic technical and academic skills needed to transfer into a four-year university or a highly specialized set of vocational and technical skills needed to enter into specific fields within the workforce. If you are looking to receive this kind of degree, you will likely be able to find an associate's option at any community, junior, or technical college. Bachelor's degrees are typically more expensive, but we're going to talk about financial aid in a minute. However, bachelor's degrees allow you a chance to test out different courses of study beyond just the basics, and they also generally relate to workers receiving higher salaries than would be received with an associate's.
Thank you, Paola, for sharing all of that great information.
I know that I was unaware of the differences between the two when I had started my application process. I just think it's so important to weigh all the options. That way you can find the best fit for your interests and lifestyle.
Of course. And now that we know what kind of post-grad degrees are available, I want to dive into the process of how to get to college, what the requirements are, and what makes students ready. So according to the Spartanburg Academic Movement, or SAM for short, in order to be ready for college, students must meet at least one of the following requirements: an ACT composite score of 20 or higher, an SAT score of 1,020 or higher, an AP score of 3 or higher, an IB score of 4 or higher, and the completion of 6 hours of dual credit coursework with a grade of a C or higher. Now, some of these requirements may be new or unfamiliar to you, so I'm going to have Paola go into depth about ACT and SAT testing. And later on, we will invite our teammate Zoe, who's also a first-gen student, in to talk about her experience with AP, IB, and dual enrollment courses.
An SAT or ACT score is typically required to apply to most universities and colleges, so if you are interested in a bachelor's degree, you will likely need to submit a score for either. The choice to take either the SAT or ACT is entirely up to you, and colleges will not lean toward one more than the other. So what are the differences between the SAT and the ACT? Well, the ACT has a science portion, whereas the SAT does not have a dedicated section for science, so you can choose. And you can also take them both multiple times. And don't worry, some colleges are now what's called test optional, meaning you don't have to submit your scores. Your high school should offer the test for the preliminary SAT, though, which is also called the PSAT, during your sophomore year. Taking the PSAT is valuable because according to your score, you can qualify for scholarships and recognition from the National Merit Scholarship. Your PSAT score is not an official SAT score you can use in your college application. However, it does give you a taste of what the real SAT will be like if you choose to take it. Your school may also provide an official ACT test during your junior year of high school that you can submit to your colleges and universities of choice. And the great news is as of 2021 and the 2021 school year, South Carolina will make it more accessible for students to take these standardized tests at zero cost. 11th grade students now have multiple dates to choose from in the upcoming year to take either or both the SAT and ACT for free. And if you would like to take it more than once and are having financial difficulty, I definitely recommend asking your guidance counselor if you're eligible for a voucher. Otherwise, the SAT test costs $46 to take, and the SAT with essay costs $60. The ACT costs $50.50 without the writing portion and $67 with the writing portion. Taking the SAT with essay or the ACT with writing can strengthen your application and will be an asset to apply to colleges that require it. Now, before I get into what the test format is like, one thing to add is that you should plan to take your test during the weekend, particularly Saturday mornings. Only a select few tests are offered during the school week. For more information regarding test dates and locations, make sure to keep up with the postings at your high school and also the ACT and SAT websites. Moving on, the SAT takes 3 hours to complete and has a math section and evidence-based reading and writing. But it is 3 hours and 50 minutes to complete if you include the optional essay section as well. It is scored between 400 and 1600 and has subscores that evaluate your performance. The ACT takes 2 hours and 55 minutes to complete with an English, math, reading, and science section. But it totals to 3 hours and 35 minutes if you take the ACT with a writing section. That is scored on a 1 to 36 point scale. I personally recommend that you start studying for these tests as early as sophomore year. When I came into my junior year of high school, I was much more stressed than I was in 9th and 10th grade because I was taking harder classes and felt more overwhelmed with the growing list of things I had to do for college. Through personal experience, I think it's better if you pace yourself throughout high school, like starting to practice for the SAT and ACT your sophomore year after getting the PSAT results, and not accumulating all your stress into junior and senior year. But don't stress if you are past your sophomore year. There is always time. A reliable and free resource to use as SAT practice is Khan Academy. Khan Academy is an online tool that matches your PSAT test scores to specifically give you practice problems on the sections you need to work on the most. If you don't have those scores just yet, you can still practice on Khan Academy for free. And it's Khan with a K, Khan, academy.org.
Hey y'all, my name's Zoe Mullins. I'm a class of 2022 student at Wofford, and I'm majoring in government and Spanish with the hopes of attending law school. I'm from Rock Hill, South Carolina, which is a suburb of Charlotte, and I'm also a first-generation college student, meaning neither of my parents went to college or received a bachelor's degree. In fact, my mom didn't really even complete a high school education. Growing up, I had 2 older siblings. My brother's 11 years older than me. My sister's 9 years older. I was really lucky to have older siblings who prepared for college and went through school before me. However, I was really the only child to be put in like the advanced kind of courses at a young age, and in Rock Hill, there was like a double advanced program that I was kind of put in, and so by the time I was in 8th grade, I was taking like 10th grade courses. And so whenever I got to high school in 9th grade, I kept on taking the same general education requirements that I had to take. And then once 10th grade came around, it was time for me to plan out, what kind of courses I'd like to take for the rest of my time in high school to prepare for college. So I met with my guidance counselor, and she really pushed advanced programs towards me because I was already an advanced student. So I had 3 options: advanced placement, or AP, International Baccalaureate, which is IB program, and then dual credit enrollment, which was actually enrolling at a college, but being taught the classes through a high school teacher, and receiving college credit that way. So AP courses are kind of like the most widespread and well-known. Those are offered by the College Board to prepare students for college, and what happens is students enroll in an AP course, take the semester or a year-long course, depending on the subject, and in May, they take the nationwide AP test, and the AP test is graded on a scale of 0 to 5, and a grade of 3 or above is like passing the exam, and if you pass the exam, students are offered college credit, depending on what college they go to. Classes are offered in core subjects like math, English, science, history, and some extracurriculars. Number of AP courses offered just varies from school to school, as well as from district to district. But yeah, I personally really liked my AP courses because they were really challenging and really demanding. I had a lot of homework and I learned a lot, but it kind of prepared me for the college workload, and the exams were scary. They were daunting. They were a lot. But I ended up passing all of them, and it was really worth it to take these courses. The AP courses are pretty difficult, and the exams themselves are not easy, but I learned, study habits and ways to just kind of get into the groove of reading, learning, doing stuff on my own, and not having a teacher tell me exactly what I needed to do for every assignment, every project, which was really nice. And it prepared me a lot for Wofford and the workload that I have here. So yeah, that was one kind of course load that I took. And then I also took IB, and I only took extracurriculars there. So I took theater and Spanish, and it's a 2-year long course, and throughout the 2 years it kind of builds, so it's cumulative, and you submit projects throughout the 2 years, and then you take a final exam at the end of the course, and then you receive your grades and the credits that you get for your institution or college and whenever you do go. And that is a little bit slower paced than the AP course load, which is extremely quick. You learn an entire, history in a semester, and then you have to take a 2-hour exam, and if you pass, then you get the credit, and if not, you don't. It's very high stakes, AP is, whereas IB, I think, is much more low stakes, but there's a lot of learning and a lot of college preparedness and readiness put into that, because the programs themselves are very research-based, and I think the IB program helped me become better at researching and writing more thought-out, longer papers, and AP taught me how to think quickly and on my feet. I think it was really difficult, though, to just decide what courses I wanted to take and how to take these courses, because none of my parents, my siblings had ever taken anything like a dual credit advanced course or anything like that would give them college credits. And so when the opportunity was given to me, my parents really wanted me to take advantage of it as well as I could. And so I ended up taking over 12 courses over 2 years in AP, IB, or dual credit enrollment. And it was definitely worth all of it, even though it was really stressful and really hard. And a lot of times I would pull all-nighters. But when it came time to come to Wofford, I maxed out all of the credits that I could apply to the university before even becoming a student. And so I started as a second semester freshman, which was really nice. And it's already kind of saved my family money and time. And I've had the opportunity to kind of explore things that in topics that I probably wouldn't have explored if I had to focus on my general education and then go directly into my majors. So yeah, I think the advanced programs offered at schools are extremely helpful, and the guidance counselors and advanced program coordinators are there to help you, and they'll do anything that they can to push you in the right direction, or at least my counselor pushed me in the right direction for what they thought was best for me and best for my learning and best for my college career and readiness. So yeah, that's really all I have to say, but I would definitely recommend at least checking out the programs. Yeah, have a good one, y'all.
Aside from the readiness requirements mentioned by Paola and Zoe, there are a few other things that contribute to a strong and complete college application. Colleges and universities are also likely to take in high school classes and GPA, extracurricular activities, application essays, and recommendations into consideration when evaluating applicants. And I know that the list of requirements and things to consider may sound excessive, but one thing to keep in mind is that with so many things for admissions counselors to look at, there are so many opportunities for you all to shine in your applications. Also, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret. You don't have to be incredible at every single thing on the application to be considered an incredible student. When I was applying to college, my high school GPA and standardized test scores weren't perfect or even close to it. But because admissions counselors looked at multiple parts of my high school experience, I was able to convey who I was as a student through my extracurricular activities, recommendations, and application essays. And that was enough to get me here. Now that all of you know that there are many paths to being a successful college applicant, I want to go through each path with you. Maybe you can find something that you can highlight during your admissions process, something that shows where you really shine. So, to start, let's walk through the value of high school courses and GPAs. Most of you probably know that your GPA, or your grade point average, is the total average of the grades you make in your high school courses. Your GPA will likely be weighed on a scale from a 4 to a 6, depending on the classes you choose to take, with college prep, AP, IB, and dual enrollment courses weighing the most. While GPAs can reflect academic capabilities and dedication, they are not the end-all be-all for determining whether or not students are successful in their courses. Don't be afraid to push yourselves and take more difficult classes, even if they could potentially impact your GPA. Admissions counselors take the rigor and difficulty of classes into account while also looking at the grades you make in them. In looking at your courses and GPAs, admissions counselors want to know that you tried your hardest, that you pushed yourself, and that you are resilient when faced with academic challenges.
And admission counselors also want to know a little bit about you through the things you involve yourself in outside of school or your extracurriculars. They want to see that you are well-rounded. By that, I mean that you are not solely focused on academics, but are really passionate about a hobby or are involved in after-school clubs and organizations, sports, work, leadership positions. I know over the summers, I worked in my family's restaurant serving pupusas, baleadas, and tacos to customers every day. Although sometimes I would feel bored or frustrated that my peers were vacationing somewhere at a beach, I realized that I gained so much insight and experience from this. When applying to college, I knew immediately that work experience would be reflected on my college application. Whether or not you are, quote-unquote, involved in school, as long as what you do outside of class helps you grow and create positive change within yourself and others, you will do great. And if you have the time and are willing to venture out there, explore clubs from your school or make your own. I was very involved in student government and volunteering at a hospital. I was also passionate about my cultural background, so my friend and I decided to plan Latinx culture awareness events to share our culture with others. I had some friends start up clubs that related to their passions. There is no harm in talking to your school administration, student government, or guidance counselors just to explore your options. Just try to be consistent and stick with something. Admissions counselors don't particularly want a long list of involvements. It will only make them feel like you dedicated a little bit of time to them and stretch yourself out too thin. Be honest with your activities and place the ones that are most important to you.
Okay, y'all, to close this section out, I want to quickly go over application essays and recommendations. Both of these things provide great opportunities for college admissions counselors to understand who you really are as a person, from both your perspective and from the perspectives of those close to you, your teachers, your coaches, and your employers. Both of these things are so important because at the end of the day, they tell your admissions counselor about your interests, your experiences, your strengths and weaknesses, and why you want to attend this or that specific college. A powerfully written essay from you or a strong rec letter from someone on your behalf can help you stand out as an applicant, even if you feel worried about the other parts of the application mentioned earlier. I know that this has probably been a lot to take in, but there is one super important piece of the college application and admissions process left, and that is college expenses and financial aid. Attending college takes a certain amount of financial commitment. Students are responsible for covering tuition and fees, room and board, textbooks and supplies, transportation, and personal expenses. Now, I know that the thought of paying these things in full can be overwhelming. However, there are multiple options to cut or alleviate costs at the time of payment. First, there's the FAFSA, or the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. This is a document that is filled out through the Department of Education, and it is presented to the financial aid office of the college or university to which you are applying to show, based on you or your family's income, how much you are able to pay to attend. The FAFSA is offered to U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, and permanent residents. If you are the child of an undocumented parent or parents, but you yourself are a U.S. citizen, you are able to use your Social Security number to fill out the FAFSA forms. If both you and your parent or parents are undocumented, there are still options for you to receive financial aid outside of completing the FAFSA. In this situation, we encourage you to reach out to the financial aid office of the institution to which you're applying, local advocacy groups, and current college students who are in a similar position to you to assess what aid and resources are available because they vary from college to college and state to state. But don't give up. There are doctors and lawyers and business people out there who have gotten degrees while on DACA or while undocumented. Aside from the FAFSA, government grants, school-sponsored scholarships, and loans all exist to help reduce the cost of attendance. Both your high school guidance counselor and employees working in your college institution's financial aid office may have access to information regarding these things. I know that when I was applying to outside scholarships, Google was my best friend. I was able to find and apply to many different random scholarships online that really added up over time and helped to cut costs.
Okay guys, I'm sure by now your brains are full, so on a parting note, I want to leave you with one last thing. When I was younger, I did not have Latinx role models to look up to or family friends who decided to pursue a degree after high school or even graduate with a high school diploma. But I strived to become someone my little brother can look up to. And by getting my college education, I realized that I can make life better for others in my family and community. For instance, a lot of Latinx parents in my network ask me to help their children apply for college or ask questions about applications and requirements. I'm so glad that as a first-generation college student, I can make others' experiences navigating through the process easier. Whether you're listening to this during your first year of high school or your senior year, please do not give up on yourself. Situations or doubts may pop up that could keep you from pursuing a degree, but there are people in nearly every community that are there to provide you with information and resources, whether you are the child of undocumented parents or undocumented yourselves. Even if nobody in your family ever had a chance to go to college, we all deserve equal opportunity for access to education. We must quebrar cadenas to make our family or our journeys worth all the bumps and bruises. In an environment where you need a degree, it is really important to receive an education and make the paths for our future generations easier than ours. Together, we can shape a future where todos contamos y superamos, and we all build a stronger future together. I wish you all the best on your journeys through high school and college. I know you're able to do big and great things. Sí se puede.